Hello and welcome to Magic and Mysticism, the podcast, starring Tommy Burnett, New York City's favorite mind reader, where each week he interviews mystery performers from all around the world. Today's guest is world-renowned mentalist, Marc Salem. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, while I introduce our host, Mr. Tommy Burnett.
Hello everyone and welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of Magic and Mysticism, the podcast. I am your host, Tommy Burnett, New York City's favorite mentalist, at least I think so. Today I'm very excited about this episode. My guest today is a world-renowned mentalist. He's been featured on CNN, 60 Minutes, and he's written countless books. He's done a Penguin Live lecture. He's even performed on Broadway. He's also a real live psychologist. He's been an inspiration to many people in the mystery arts and has been a big influence on me in my career. And I'm very proud to have him on the show. His name is Mr. Marc Salem. Let's say hello to Marc. How are you, Marc?
I'm delighted to be here with you, Tommy.
I'm delighted to have you. It's a real honor and a real pleasure. Have we been doing this on the other venue? I would have been able to play a short video of you performing a book test for the Science Channel, I believe.
You could edit it in later.
Yeah, I'll put it in later.
What I'd like to do is choose somebody at random, and in order.
Marc Salem is one of New York's most prominent psychologists, but he also has a remarkable talent, one that has catapulted him into show business.
All right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to say stop at any point. Say stop at any point.
Stop.
Okay. Look, the first word on the first line. Have you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on to this. All right. Say nothing at all to me. Say nothing at all to me. Just think of the first letter. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, it's an S. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. See the second letter, probably a vowel. A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. It's an E, isn't it?
Marc's mind-reading ability is not magic. He's reading tiny physical clues his subjects are unwittingly giving him.
C, E, the word is second? Give a round of applause, please. What I'm looking for, first of all, is some kind of difference in the way that they're expressing themselves. Should I get rid of this one or this one?
That one.
Get rid of this one. I think every mental thought that we have has some physical corresponding emission. There's something that we could tell about that thought. We literally could see people thinking. My friends, let me just say, once again, nothing that I did this evening is supernatural. Nothing that I do is occult. Thank you so very much.
From his stage shows and from his academic research, Marc has learned that it's almost impossible to keep a secret. What our brains are thinking can't help but leak out into our physical bodies.
My first question is, what got you started in mentalism?
Well, even as a kid, mentalism interested me the most. How the mind works, what we could do with it. I didn't really go through the magic phase. I really went pretty quickly to mentalism. I chose a career in psychology, and how the mind works and having fun with it. It is my playground.
Yes, I've seen a few of your live shows, and they are very entertaining, and I can't wait for you to do another one. Do you have any influences in the beginning for you?
Well, I think Fogel, interestingly enough, I mean, it's mostly the British school, but I must say that Criskin certainly was an influence. Growing up, I saw him on Mike Douglas and other shows, and he's still around and still comes away. But the British fascinated me in a different way. I think the British felt more intellectual in some ways. David Burglas, Fogel, it might have simply have been the exotic location like England as opposed to United States. But I spent a great deal of time in England. I spent time with Burglas and Fogel's family.
Wow.
Delightful.
I bet. I've only heard an audio interview of Fogel, and it was fascinating. He's one person that I wish that I could have met before he passed away.
It's funny that I first met him at the SAM convention in New York.
Okay.
Must have been in the early 70s. And I introduced myself to him, and I said, "Hi, I'm Moshe," because that's my first proper name. And he said, "Oh, me too."
Oh, wow.
That was Maurice's. And then he had me set up the dishes for him for the bullet routine. So I was tickled pink. Into that, I've become very close with his son-in-law, his daughter, his grandson, lots of folks in the family.
How old were you when you met him?
I must have been about 12, 13.
Wow.
And I think that what really influenced me was the straightforward both methods and presentation that he had. I mean, he went to the heart of the matter. It was after his brain surgery, I guess. So I hear he was terribly intense before that, but even this program. But his look, I used to look what was it Abra, whatever the British magazine was, and I'd read the ads and local stuff, and he told me that sometimes they didn't have a method, and they'd come up with something, and if enough people ordered it, he created a method.
Wow. That's great. Wow. What are some of your favorite highlights from your extensive mentalism career?
Well, I think performing at the Sydney Opera House was unforgettable for me. I mean, we did about 2 months in Australia.
Wow.
And I loved that. I think Broadway was exciting. But every performance is exciting. I did something last night and it was exciting. I mean, I feel, look, that's what we entertainers do. We get excited by entertaining, and it really doesn't matter what the venue is. I mean, I find the big theaters easiest. And the most difficult for me is close up and small group. I don't think I'm as engaging, and it's just not as much fun. I don't like the one-on-one mentalism. Some people surpass all expectation doing that. I like the stage, and most of my shows have been theaters.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think the last theater I saw you in was the Gramercy Theater back in the Halloween show.
Halloween, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you would have come up afterwards.
I did.
Oh,
I
okay.
did. Yeah. It was a while back. It was like I was one back in 2016. So
Yes.
it was a while ago. I did come up and we did talk for a few minutes. So, but there were so many people there. I don't blame you for not remembering. That was a phenomenal show. I actually ran into at that show somebody I hadn't seen in probably 25 or more years. I ran into Dorothy Dietrich and Dick Brooks,
Yes.
who I used to be very close with when I was younger. And they just happened to be sitting in the row right in front of me. Your grandkids were like two rows in front of me, and so I got to meet your grandkids too. So that was nice. What? Okay, I like to get this out of the way in the beginning. What is the most embarrassing thing that has happened during a performance for you?
Probably I washed them out of my mind.
And if you only answer, you don't have to. But I put it in there. Yeah.
More often than not, it's not remembering someone's name who just introduced themselves.
Okay. Yeah.
Considering.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, before there was GPS, and I would drive to a venue or something, I could get lost.
Oh, okay.
And calling up the client and saying, "Where are you?" And they'd always say, "You're the mentalist. Figure it out."
Yeah.
And it was a very difficult phone call to make.
Right.
I don't know where I am.
Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Embarrassing for a mentalist.
Yeah.
Or forgetting where you parked your car afterwards. I remember a show afterwards, and it was pouring afterwards, and I was in a parking lot, and I couldn't find the car, and I said, "I just hope nobody sees me after doing the mental miracles, now standing in the rain looking for my car."
Let me just say the reason why I asked that question is because I think it's a good thing for people to know that no matter how professional you are, and no matter how good you are, you will always at some point make a mistake.
Oh, yes. I think the sign of professionalism isn't not making mistakes. It's how do you pick up afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We are human.
Yes.
It puts too much pressure on a person never to make a mistake.
Yeah. I agree. So I asked you about your highlight. Is there a favorite place, like not necessarily a venue, but it could be a venue, but is there where is the coolest place you've ever performed, like country venue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Sydney Opera House.
Okay.
Because the literally the back of the theater was the ocean. I mean, you drove.
Wow. Oh, that's the one with
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see it now. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So it was really, we were there for almost 2 months.
Wow.
And I met some old graduate school buddies. I have a friend who was from Perth, and she came all the way across the country just for the show, and it was great. So I saw friends, and but it was august in the sense that it was the Sydney Opera House for me.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that must have been amazing.
Yeah. But
Wow.
another favorite was meeting Mike Wallace when I did 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
And I got to be frank with you, I was anxious until we did it. Even after I did it, I didn't know how they would edit it. I had no say over that.
Right,
I
right.
didn't know if it would be a trash piece or an expose piece, and it ended up being a love letter.
Yeah, yeah, they make it look really good. I've seen that countless times, and it's a wonderful tribute to you. Not only as a person, but also as a mentalist and a psychologist. Which I didn't write a question about this, but I think it would be interesting to know how. Did you know from the very beginning that you were going to tie in psychology in mentalism, or did that come a little bit later?
No, they work together. I mean, again, how the mind makes meaning has always been my challenge. So even the effects of violence on television was much my work. I was a director of research at Sesame Street
Right.
for close to a decade. So effects research was always important to me, and it's not much different than looking at how do we manipulate the mind. And that's basically what I do. I manipulate what people see, do, say, and provide them with slightly different reality using any methods that are available.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. So, when you come up with a new routine, can you kind of go through the process for us?
Yes. Well, first of all, I believe mentalism should be, you shouldn't have something at the beginning of the program that takes away from later in the program. Like there's people who begin their show by telling somebody personal about themselves. Well, that's too strong, I believe. I always begin with something that everybody understands. They just think I could do it well, be it a magic square or memorized newspaper, something that's a practical memory sort of stunt. And then I move onward from there. So I follow very much, unlike the magic beginning that says begin with a bang.
Right.
I don't think mentalism could do that. I think
Yeah.
once you have the bang, everything else, it's kind of like people who do mental epic. Think of any country in the world, think of any name, now pick a card.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's very much a diagonal. You begin with something understandable. I then move usually to something that's a choice. And I move and move and move up until the end of the show, which is a Q&A kind of routine. So it moves dramatically, but it doesn't have plateaus. In fact, when I don't have a full hour and a half to perform, to me, it feels choppy. I feel like I'm leaving out steps. And I've had 8 different shows with 8 hour and a half shows. So, I had Mind Games and Mind Games 2, and, Mind Games Reloaded, and Mind Over. Mind Over was a delightful series of shows I did in different cities. So Mind Over Manhattan, Mind Over.
Right, I remember. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, so the Mind Over concept was a very good, and I tried to include in it Mind Over Milwaukee. And I'd include things locally in the show. I'd use local phone books, local newspapers. I made it much more about their city, and that was always joy too. The thing is, when I do a piece of material, I know where I have to fit it in the act.
Okay.
And that's why the most difficult things are like a few minutes on the news, on the radio. I prepare for those intensely, but they don't have a context. And you still feel like you're doing tricks instead of mind reading. Mind reading, I think, is developed. This is just, okay, do this. And I never enjoyed it. I always worked very hard at it, but I didn't enjoy it.
There's been a lot of people arguing recently, well, actually probably for a while now, about the difference between mentalism and mental magic. Do you have an opinion on that, or?
Well, it's like what the Supreme Court said about pornography. They can't define it, but they know it when they see it. You know, magic, mental magic, I think uses props that don't seem normal. Or something happens physically. I mean, I don't even like, you know, people who do telekinesis. To me, that's mental magic. I enjoy it, but I don't like doing it.
Okay.
You know, so look, I don't bend cutlery. That's someone else's thing. Plus, I just don't. It gets a great reaction, I've seen. It gets a great reaction. It's just not my thing. I can't wrap my head around it. Why? A mentalist would do that. I don't like touches too. I don't like, you know, when invisible touches or whatever.
Yeah, PK.
I don't see how it fits in with mentalism. But that's my own thing. I mean, I know I'm good friends with Lior Manor.
Right.
I mean, you know, many of the Israelis make great, even Banchik makes great use of it.
But you're more of a psychological entertainer, right?
Yeah.
Would you call yourself a mentalist, or?
I don't like the term, but it's become tied to me. I used to call myself just a purveyor of mind games.
Right. Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed that title because games are fun, but they're also a strategy, like war games. Think about things.
Interesting. The past year and a half has been difficult for all of us, and who knows now what's going to happen in the future. How has the pandemic affected you as a performer?
Well, it's like my wife said today. She said she's glad this didn't happen 10 years ago. I mean, look, we're getting old. You know, I have some programs I dislike, although I did a few, I dislike Zoom programs enormously. I mean, again, for me, theater is about engaging people in front of you, with you. And I always felt, and there's people who do wonderful things on Zoom, but to me, it's still mediated by something. Again, like doing the TV morning news or something like that. I don't cotton to it very well.
So yeah, you're like me in that respect. I prefer performing in front of people where I can have that human contact. I have done plenty of Zoom shows, but for me is not the same thing. There's a definite disconnect for me because I'm constantly I'm constantly going back and forth from the camera to what I see down here, and no matter how much I practice looking at the camera, I'm not a TV actor, and I don't want to be.
Well, for the Zoom shows, basically, I just perform regular,
Yeah.
and I don't adjust anything.
Yeah.
I just let it rip, and
Yeah.
that seems to work.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. What is one way you can make a strong, deep connection with your participants, but also the audience at large?
Well, I think the first thing, and I said this, is the magic word is the spectator's name. Always call them by name. Once you have that name, lock it in your mind like a demonic or something, and they are your friend. So that's with individual spectators. I think that it's very, very important, and that one-on-one skill.
Mm-hmm.
I do think with an audience, a warm smile and self-deprecation. I mean, I begin my show basically by saying, it begins with usually some big fanfare of music, and then the spotlight goes on, and I'm standing there, and I say, "It's only me," which gets a laugh, but it also lets them understand that, hey, it's only me.
Right.
I'm willing to put my foot through the fourth wall. Same thing with applause. Now, my managers and everybody dislikes it, but I step on applause cues. Now, they would say, "Let the audience applaud," and I'll just do what I want to do. And again, I don't milk it in the show business form.
Right. Yeah, I've noticed that about you. I haven't seen you perform that much. I think I've seen you perform three times, and one thing I've noticed is that you step on applause, and you basically do what you want to do, and I've always admired that about you.
Yeah, well, again, my performance is more of an everyman than a person with special abilities. So I play down the specialness, bring up the everyman, and I think the audience identifies more with that too, and it works for me.
Wow, we went through these questions pretty fast. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about? Do you have any shows coming up?
I've watched some of your podcasts. I've watched some of your podcasts, and they're wonderful.
Thank you.
You do a great job, Tom.
Thank you.
Great job.
I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you.
Great job.
Yeah. And hopefully after this, I can talk to you a little bit more, and maybe we can go out and get a coffee sometime. And
yes.
Yeah.
Where is home?
Right now I live in Astoria, in Queens, but I don't know if you live in New York anymore, or if you. Yeah, I thought you did. Yeah, because I've seen you in tannins before. Actually, I think I saw you at the is it Doc Helfer's lecture or Marc's drivings lecture at Shannon's a few years back. But yeah, I love to get together and talk shop with you.
We'll definitely do that.
Yeah. Would you be willing to perform something for us?
Sure. Let me out of the first part of my show. Now again, this is and I'll try to be visual of this. If I were to ask you and the people watching it, name a first color that enters your mind.
Okay. Red. Red, yeah.
And you can see that on my pad, I've written red.
Nice.
Now I want you to this is the first effect I taught my kids. All right. We have the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
All right. I want you to pick a number 1 to 4. Have you done that?
Yes, I have.
All right. The number I was trying to send was 3. What number did you have?
3.
Okay. Now I want you to think of any 2-digit number.
Okay.
Okay, what do you got?
27.
27.
And
you can see.
Wow.
27. All right. And now. Tommy, I want you to think of one of the ESP symbols.
Okay.
You got one?
I do.
Okay. This is what I got, the wiggly lines. Is that
Yep.
what you got? All right. So those are all powerful kind of effects. There's a lot more psychology in them than gimmickry. And it's the sort of thing that I love.
Nice. Thank you, Marc.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's talk later on.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, and everybody out there, keep talking, Tommy.
Thank you. I'm really sorry, guys, that the other format didn't work. I will post this as soon as possible. And I'll see you next time. Remember, the magic is inside of you, not your props. And I'll see you next time.